Hey everybody, welcome to How to Draw episode 2. So today in this episode we're going to be going over how to draw the neck. It seems like it'd be simple, like so simple, but it's actually, I just want to go over it and show you some things that I've learned about it. Right there, the first thing that I drew is just a little, kind of like a little diagram of just a reminder that the neck is actually like the spine and then everything is wrapped around it. Now what I'm drawing here is just some shapes to represent the fact that the neck, if you're trying to draw it, is basically just a cylinder, but the neck really isn't straight in real life. It's actually kind of, it curves in and out, and I'm drawing that here, trying to represent that and show you. But we think that the neck is just straight, but it's really not. So, I mean, when you're drawing it, though, essentially it's like a tube. And here I'm writing this, the neck is not straight. It curves in and out. And then in its simplest form, the neck is just like a tube shape or like a cylinder. It's not that simple, but that's as simple as you can draw a tube to start out with, and like a small, like a rectangle basically, and then you can build off of that. As we go along here, I'm going to show you some more examples of what it looks like and some of the muscle anatomy that's involved in the neck. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this video about necks is because I feel like the neck is kind of overlooked when people are drawing. Everybody wants to draw the head and the arms and the legs and everything, but there's a lot more parts to the body than we realize, and I feel like the neck is overlooked when in drawing. The neck doesn't just sit there. It basically it doesn't come out of the back of the head, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of people draw the neck like it's just there, but the neck is actually coming out of the torso, and then our head basically fits onto it. That's why I'm drawing here. I'm showing you that the neck is a circular tube. It's like a three-dimensional tube, and our neck actually sits in the center of our head. It's not in the front. It's not in the back. The neck tube is like literally center. It sits in the center, and our head sits on top of that. If we didn't have a neck, it would basically be our head would be on our shoulders, like. Yeah, so if you ever see drawings where someone's like standing straight forward and then they have no neck, it's because the person either didn't know how to draw the neck or they forgot it. And that's why I'm doing this video, because I feel like necks are just overlooked, and it's still an important part of the figure. So, and the other thing is the neck turns the head, and you can move the neck around and then the head moves. So if you don't draw the neck correctly, your heads are going to be stiff and there's not going to be a whole lot of movement. So I just wanted to start off with that. We're going to draw some more here. I'm just trying to come up with some more examples of what the neck looks like in different poses. And again, for these, I'm making these up. I'm not really looking at a reference. So there's the center line for the head, and I'm really trying to, what I'm doing is I'm trying to visualize in my mind what would this look like, and I'm really thinking about it. And if you're watching this video and you're struggling with necks, I want you to do the same thing. You can copy my example, but like really think about the neck as a 3D form instead of just that rectangle that I drew at the beginning. That rectangle is, obviously it's the purest, the most basic form, but it's not really a rectangle. It's really a cylinder. So just try to think of it in a 3D form. That's why I'm drawing the neck with some perspective to it, just a little bit of 1 point perspective on the neck to show you that it's actually curving, and then that helps show you that, again, the neck basically fits into the head, and then it doesn't just sit there. And like I said, again, I've seen a lot of people will not draw it because it's hard to get it in the right spot. But I mean, technically the neck is always in the center of the head, but based on where your torso ends up, it might look like it's not in the center, so it can be confusing. So here I'm drawing the back of the neck, like I'm drawing the back of the head, and then I'm drawing what the neck looks like from the back side. So the neck is I wrote up above there. You can see the neck consists of 3 major parts: the sternocleidomastoid muscle, the trapezius muscle, which most people think it's part of the back, but it's technically part of the neck. And then there's a third part of the neck, which is directly under the chin where your Adam's apple is. But here, like I said, I'm drawing the back side of the head to show you what the neck would look like from the back, or what the head might look like from the back. And then what I'm going to do right here is I erase some of these lines. And if you can see, I'll get into this in later videos, but before I erase those lines, they look like the neck was in front. And then all of a sudden I erase those 2 little lines, and now you can tell the neck is actually turned around. It's crazy how 2 little lines, one line going in front of another line, will give you the illusion that something's in front of something else. So we'll get into more of that later, but it was just interesting that if at first it looked like the neck was in front, and then I erased those lines because they weren't supposed to be there, and now you can tell the neck is turned around. But anyway, this is what the neck looks like. It's a very simple drawing of what the neck looks like from the back, from behind. That triangular shape that I just drew, that's basically the trapezius muscle. And again, the trap is actually part of the neck, not the back, like people think. The back side of the trapezius actually connects to the back of the head. The back of the skull is where it connects in. So we're just going to draw some more examples. And like I said, again, you can follow along. Just pause the video and follow along with me and draw what I'm drawing. This is going to be an example of a little bit of a close-up of the neck muscles. And so it's not like an in-depth explanation, but I just wanted to draw a little bit of an example of what it looks like, or what the neck looks like up close, really. And I mean, as far as drawing the neck as a tube, like I mentioned earlier, you can get away with it. With drawing it just kind of like a rectangle, but if you're trying to go for correct anatomy, it's really a cylinder, and then you can put the musculature on top of it. But here I'm drawing the sternocleidomastoid muscle, or whatever it's called. I'm not a doctor. I know some of them. I don't know all of them. So these muscles connect in behind the ear, and then this section that I'm drawing here, or that I just drew under the chin, that's kind of like the section where your tongue is and your throat, and then your Adam's apple. But the two muscles on either side of the jaw, they connect behind the ear, and then they go straight down into your neck, into your collarbone. So as long as you draw them going to that spot down to the collarbone, it'll look accurate. And then here I'm going to draw, I'm deciding I want the head tilted way up, and I want the neck to be bending backwards. So this is what we're drawing next. These are getting a little bit more complicated, but I'm just showing you the different positions you can make. If you know how to move it around. And then it's just an example, but you can draw this too if you want, or you can just watch, but I would recommend just trying to practice. I'm just showing you different positions. And again, I'm thinking about this in my head. I'm not looking at anything, so that's also a challenge. I'm challenging myself by thinking about, okay, what would this actually look like, and trying to recall it from my memory instead of, I have to look at something to be able to do it. It's a difficult challenge, but it's a good way to practice. So again, I'm still thinking about where each piece of the anatomy would go. What would it look like? That's what's going through my head. And again, I'm making sure to connect the back of the neck to the lower base of the skull. That's where it connects in. And then you have to know where things connect to make them look right. If you're connecting them in the wrong spot, it's going to look bad, basically, and it won't look good. It won't look right. I heard from Joe Kubert one time. He said, if it looks wrong, it is. So there's a tip from Joe Kubert. I'm putting more of the neck muscles in here. These are not going to be these videos that I'm starting with are not going to be videos on muscles. I'm going to do videos on the muscles and the anatomy. Technically, what I'm drawing here is not really anatomy. It's basically just the structure and the form. I'm going to do a whole series on the structure and the form, and then what we'll do is we're going to do anatomy and muscles. By far the most important part of your drawing is the structure of the drawing. If the structure is off, everything else will be off. Doesn't matter how good your muscles look if they're in the wrong spot and your structure behind if the structure behind everything it looks bad, it's going to look bad. I can't tell you how many years I studied just to get good structure down. And I still struggle with it in certain poses, in certain areas. So here I'm just outlining some of these neck areas in red. I thought you could maybe see it a little better. I don't know how good it's showing up, but so I'm lightening this down. We're going to go over this and make it a little bit nicer. So see how I drew the slight perspective on that cylinder there to show that the neck is actually a 3D form and it's not flat. It's not really necessary, but I'm showing it to you for purposes of learning. Like, you would never see that in an actual picture or a drawing. You would never see that, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what it looks like, where you're like as if you were like looking through the head and seeing the neck. So just outlining it more in some brighter colors so you can see it a little better. Like I said, I hope you follow along with this video. Like I said, pause it. Try to do what I'm doing. Try to copy what I'm copying, or copy what I'm drawing, if you need to. Again, I'm gonna say the same thing again. If you know, I said it in the last video, I think, if you know where everything goes, you don't need a reference. And that's something I'm still learning and struggling with, and we're all on our own art journey, and we're all in different spots. But if you know where something is supposed to be, you don't need reference to know how to draw it. You'll just know where it goes, and it'll look right. I mean, it's not that easy. I mean, you have to know the shape of something. You have to know what it looks like enough to be able to draw it without looking. But then you also have to know where it goes, where it inserts on the body, so that it looks correct. But if you know where it goes, you won't need to look at anything. And see how I fixed the neck there. The neck's actually curved. It's not a straight cylinder. It's got curve to it, like I drew in the beginning. So just figured I'd outline everything in red for this one. I thought it looked cool and help you see it better. But yeah, I believe that the neck is more important than people think about. Like, we don't really think about, oh, I need to learn how to draw necks, but it's still an important part of the body because it turns the head, and it's the part of the body that, you know, makes your head swivel and tilt and all this other stuff. I mean, I can't. I've seen, like I said, I've seen people draw the body with no neck, and it just looks. It looks weird. It's wrong because we all have a neck. So if you know you have a neck, it doesn't make sense to not draw it. So make sure you practice this and keep doing those simple cylinder shapes until you can draw it without like needing to look at anything or anything like that. Every part of the body can be broken down into simple shapes initially, and that's what we're doing in this series. I'm going to show you how to break these complex things down into simpler things so they make sense. And this whole series is going to be the way I understand how to draw. So if this helps you, then I'm more than happy to help you learn. But this is going to be the way I understand things, and these are the things that have helped me learn. And so there you go. So that's the neck, episode 2. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next episode. Take care.